Hello, and welcome to Exposed News Outlet, where we shed light on topics that matter most. I'm your host, Andrea. Today, we're exploring extrajudicial executions, war crimes in the Caribbean. It was up to 20 strikes and over 80 killed. As we navigate the complexities of our world, it's essential to stay informed and engaged. By subscribing to our channel, enabling notifications, and sharing our content, you are supporting our mission to provide thought-provoking insights and inspire positive change. Thank you for being part of our community. Now, let's get to the news.
Pete Hegseth should resign. That's a direct quote from a statement issued by a coalition of House Democrats. They're joining a growing chorus on Capitol Hill, calling for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to quit after two major incidents with his direct involvement have plunged the Pentagon into chaos. A new Defense Department Inspector General report confirmed what many suspected all along, that Pete Hegseth endangered the lives of U.S. service members by communicating about sensitive military intelligence in a Signal group chat, which led to calls for his resignation. Pete Hegseth is also facing calls to resign as chilling new details emerged about this deadly strike carried out on an alleged Venezuelan drug boat by the United States on September 2nd that experts say could be a war crime. The New York Times is reporting, quote, multiple people who've seen the video of the attack say the survivors climbed on the overturned hull of the boat and waved to something overhead, a gesture interpreted as an attempt to surrender, beckoning rescue, or trying to signal other alleged drug traffickers. Pete Hegseth's Defense Department has so far refused to show the American people the video of what happened during the attacks. Hegseth first said he watched the whole thing happen and that they knew who was on the boat. Then he changed his story, blaming, quote, the fog of war for the second strike, which killed two people on that September 2nd operation.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. There's a reason Pete Hegseth refuses to release video of that second strike. It's because the American people, if allowed to see it, would find it unconscionable. But Pete Hegseth doesn't see himself as answerable to the American people, much less the Constitution. He treats service members like pawns, and he thinks war and killing are an excuse to show off. And it is long past time for him to go.
The president should fire him. Should have fired him after Signalgate. Should have never been nominated in the first place. But it's clear to me that he is not the right person for this job.
He is the least qualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history, and he's very cavalier about doing things. The fact of the matter is, only Congress can decide that we can go to war, and there was no such declaration made.
Hegseth continues to be an anchor dragging down the Trump administration. And as tempted as I am to say, I told you so, this mouse of a man is going to get Americans killed. It's not just about the potential murders he ordered in the Caribbean. This is about U.S. service members risking their lives on missions that Pete Hegseth treats like video games. It's infuriating to have seen this coming from the beginning and having virtually the entire Republican Party fall in line. Remember, only 3 Republicans, 3, voted against Hegseth's Senate confirmation. One of the Democratic senators who warned us all then and who has continued to sound the alarm is Tammy Duckworth. I think you'll really appreciate this conversation, not just because of all that has happened in the last couple weeks, but because we get into it not just as interviewer and senator, but as 2 fellow military aviators who see Hegseth for what he is. Senator Duckworth is one of my all-time heroes. Here's our conversation. Senator Tammy Duckworth, welcome to the show. You tried to warn us during Hegseth's confirmation hearings. You, more than just about anybody, I'd put you right up there with Senator Slotkin, who we talked to last week, tried to let the American people know what a disaster this man would be as Secretary of Defense. And I'm sure you take no pleasure in being proven unambiguously right this week. How are you feeling about it?
Well, that's exactly it. I take no pleasure because I'm being proven right at the expense of the American people and our national security, and at the expense of the security of our troops. Right? We put our troops in jeopardy when we don't uphold the rules of law. We put our nation in national security in jeopardy when we as a nation commit illegal acts like these, like these double tap strikes. And so, yeah, I'm right, but America has been damaged by Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration's really illegal and wayward actions here.
And since his confirmation, you and others in the Democratic caucus, with very few exceptions on the right, have been trying to remind people of what a threat Secretary Hegseth poses, and it began with Signalgate. We now have the IG's report. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet, but it is as damning as we thought it would be. I mean, it is domino after domino with this man. And I would love to just get a sense from you if Republicans are finally waking up, especially in the Senate, to the threat he poses.
Yeah, I think Republicans have always known what the threat is, but they were, more afraid of Donald Trump and their own reelections than they were. I mean, I think they cared more about their own reelections and Donald Trump than they did about national security. They always knew what the threats were. I mean, my colleagues, especially those who served in uniform, always knew. My concern is that they put that aside because they cared more about personal ambitions and kowtowing to Donald Trump. Look on the Signal report. I just very briefly have just read it very quickly, the unclassified report. And if it's true, the Inspector General's report confirms what we already know. And everybody in uniform already knew. Hegseth shared classified, sensitive information that put our troops at great risk. And again, he's not qualified and should not be Secretary of Defense, and he needs to resign immediately.
Since September 2025, the U.S. military has launched at least 20 strikes. I'm pretty sure there's been more since. I know it was on small vessels, calling them narco-terrorists, but victims say they were fishermen. This isn't just a war on drugs. It could be war crimes. Watch this clip.
As far as the attack is concerned, I still haven't gotten a lot of information because I rely on Pete. But to me, it was an attack. It wasn't one strike, two strikes, three strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with two people. I guess Pete would have to speak to it. I can say this, I want those boats taken out, and if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea.
I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
According to Hegseth and Trump, these strikes are justified to defend America. But in just a few weeks, at least 80 people have reportedly died. or been killed. Many were unarmed. Many were working class fishermen, not cartel bosses. One of them, Alejandro Carranza, a Colombian fisherman, he left for work and never came home. His family says he had nothing to do with organized crime or narcotics. His family has hired a U.S. lawyer. They call his death an extrajudicial execution, unlawful, and they're demanding justice. Colombia suspends U.S. intelligence sharing. UK raises legal concerns and stops sharing, as well as France condemns the U.S. strikes. The fallout is global. Colombia has halted intelligence sharing with the U.S., and again, the UK and France has also paused, and probably more since. Watch this clip.
I think we're at a really dangerous point in American history right now. We learned over the weekend that the initial strike on these fishermen boats back in September was a double-tap strike ordered by the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth himself, and executed with the full approval of the, at the time, Joint Special Operations Command Commander, Admiral Mitch Bradley, who's now the commander of U.S. Special Operations Command. This was beyond even many of the illegal actions taken of the war on terror. However, this shows the moral degeneracy that the war on terror has left as a legacy in the U.S. military, not just the tactic of a drone strike, but the willingness to kill civilians. The double tap strike, the strike means that that's a second strike on a target already struck to ensure no survivors.
Tonight, an elite Coast Guard team rappelling out of helicopters onto the deck of an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast, executing a seizure warrant, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who says the tanker was part of an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations, transporting sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran.
We've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening.
It's a new escalation in President Trump's pressure campaign against Venezuela and what he calls its illegitimate narco-terrorist regime. The president was asked about what will become of the oil aboard.
Well, we keep it, I guess.
It comes amid President Trump's war on drug cartels, sending America's largest aircraft carrier to the Caribbean and striking 22 boats the U.S. says were smuggling drugs, killing at least 86 people. The president earlier offering this warning to Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro.
His days are numbered.
Maduro today saying it's not a time for cowards, it's time for combat. President Trump also suggesting his drug war could expand to neighboring Colombia, speaking directly to that country's president.
And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next. Yes,
Mr. President.
because we don't like people when they kill people and they sell drugs.
All right, Garrett Haake joins us now live from the White House. And Garrett, should we expect to see more of these kinds of seizures?
Well, Tom, a senior administration official tells me there are no additional warrants approved by any judge for other seizures of ships at this time, and that the final destination for this tanker's oil was unknown. Tom?
They seem to be ramping up instead of de-escalating. So. And they say these strikes violate international law. Just as Trump increases, he has aircraft carriers, and critics argue this isn't just counter-narcotics, it's a militarized escalation. As alliances fracture, lives are being lost, and few answers are being given from the same people that were claiming America first. And no new wars, and then they jump into new wars. This is after he demanded the Peace Prize. If you believe in human rights, accountability, and justice, we need to shine a light. Share this, demand investigations, call your representatives, because no one should be killed, and especially without due process or in the name of the United States. Hashtag stand with fishermen. Hashtag stop war at sea. Be sure to share them with those hashtags. As we conclude today's discussion, remember that knowledge is power. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's empower each other to create positive change. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Like and share our video content to support our mission of promoting fact-based information. Be sure to follow us on social media as well. I'll leave the links in the description box below. As always, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Thank you. Also comment below. Let me know what you think about these extrajudicial executions. It's just crazy and wrong. Okay, thank you.